Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick with me? Famous scenes with drama queens and heroes acting out there on a silver screen. Come grab a seat, popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Hey there, and welcome into Meet Me in the Movies. This is Thomas Manning, and today we're welcoming to the show Corbin Berson and Maggie Lawson. They've known each other for many years, of course, having worked together on Psych, which ran for 8 seasons and was a show that I followed along closely with. And as they talk about in this conversation, they actually didn't share many scenes together in that show, but got along so well and always wanted to connect on another project. And that's what we have here with the pilot episode of Woodstockers, which is what hopefully will kick off a full television series in the coming years. Corbin and Maggie both star in Woodstockers as a father and daughter, and the pilot episode is directed by Corbin's real-life son, Oliver Berson. You'll also see familiar faces in Woodstockers like Stephen Tobolowsky, as well as Oscar nominee Barbara Hershey. The pilot episode has been on the festival circuit, and it played earlier this year at South by Southwest. It was truly a joy to talk with Corbin and Maggie about the first episode of Woodstockers and also where they hope to take it in the future. I think even within this conversation, Corbin shared some things with Maggie about the future of the show that she hadn't even heard about yet. So it's always a treat when I get to kind of spark a conversation like that. Thank you all for watching and listening, and hope you all enjoy. Thanks to Corbin Berson and Maggie Lawson for joining us to talk about Woodstockers. Okay, awesome. Corbin, Maggie, it's great to meet you all. Thank you for your time.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, happy to be chatting with y'all. And, I want to jump right into it, knowing that you've known each other and worked together for many years. I think the first season of Psych was back in 2006.
I think it's 20 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'd love to throw the first question out to both of you. How has your creative relationship with each other evolved over the years, and why do you think that you work so well together?
Well, I'll say this. We didn't really have any involvement during Psych really at all. I wasn't even kind of part of the circle, I mean,
Except airplane rides and very deep conversations.
and very deep. But I always let Maggie know I thought she was special, beyond what we were doing. There's something I connected with. And as I got to know her more and learn a little bit about her story, maybe that's what I saw. Anyway, always saw something in Maggie, a spirit, a thing that, was there to be tapped in a different way. And when I wrote this, I basically, wrote it with her in mind.
Yeah, we had, I think, didn't know this right away, but I want to say just over the years and some conversations, it was definitely more of a like, it was like a soul connection. Like I couldn't see him for weeks, but then like if you got us sitting at a table together, and one of my favorite things, I always say this about Corbin, is like small talk is out the window. Like you're having a deep conversation. If you're going to sit down with Corbin, you're not talking about the weather and like who's doing what in the family. I mean, he's a big family man, yes, but he's going to like, what are you about? Like, who are you? What are you about? Like he hits the soul. And so we had such beautiful conversations. And I remember you saying, it's like many times, I'm going to find something for us to do together as father and daughter. And I believed him. And then he wrote it himself. He didn't just go find the project. He literally made the project, and it's beyond special. It's just so for us to get to do this at this point and explore the dynamic, I think that naturally we kind of had, but in a creative sense, but in a way that I feel like working out I mean, he knows me very well. He knows my family background. He knows about my dad. And I don't even know if he meant to, but what he brought to this has actually been very healing for me in my own life and things I've gone through. So it continues to still be that type of soul.
The pitch of this thing was two guys who went to Woodstock and never left. What's becoming really deeper. And I had a friend I showed it to. I went to high school with, and she saw it. And she says, "You need to investigate the relationship with your daughter more." And I've been right. That's what's coming out. I mean, I have all this stuff with Calvin, but there's something about this father-daughter thing. And, I relate to that because it's my kids. We did it with Psych. I brought that note to that show with James. Uh, um, that maybe it's back to what you say. It's like these connections are interesting to me, so I'm finding myself saying, God, I hope Maggie can come and do these, because it's like, hoping you're like, I need you this weekend. I need you next weekend. I need you the weekend after
I
that.
told you I'm in.
I know.
I can hop from Toronto to New York
I-
in
I know.
1 minute.
But
So
I just wrote a scene where you're asleep on the sofa opposite me. You've taken that sofa. And, and we're like father, like daughter. It's cool.
Yeah, so within the show, you have that father-daughter relationship, but also in the production, I know, Corbin, you have the father-son relationship with Oliver directing. So I'd love to have you kind of speak to that experience, and also just what stands out to you about Oliver's voice as a filmmaker. And I'm curious about just working with your son in this capacity.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a script that I was in love with, as all writers are, and he took the script with another son, Henry, who kind of worked on this. He's very smart. He's the one who screwed me all up in LA this week and said, "Dad, you can't go do that in episode 2. That has to happen later." I was like, "Oh, okay, I gotta tear apart these scripts." Henry, and I remember I was standing on a balcony in Hawaii looking at Diamond Head, and I was on the phone with them, and I said, "You can't take that out. I mean, you don't understand. For an old guy, this means." He said, Oliver said, "Dad, if we're gonna do this, you're gonna be the actor, I'm gonna be the director, and you're gonna stay quiet and act." And I said, "Oh." I said, "Okay." And my wife will tell you that was not like okay for until a good long walk. And then I finally yielded over. And what I realized is, first of all, Oliver's a wonderful artist, so I'm going to trust his instinct. How it's, if people love how it looks, that's Oliver and Ben Mullen, who's the DP. And it's not, they're not stuck into this like structure, got to be like this and be. One of my favorite shots in the entire show is when this kid comes up and goes, "You knew John Lennon?" And you see me in like half of my face. He like squeezed me literally half out of frame. And that is them being younger, saying, "It's fine. Don't worry. You don't have to be," we're so told, "Get in the center of the frame, be like that." "Oh, could you stand?" And Oliver just brings this, it's not messiness, because that's not it, but this very independent feel. How many guys show up at your door with like a bouquet of red roses, "I love you, Maggie," No, I want the guy who walks the street and like picked a rose and a whatever and snapped somebody's tulip from their garden. And that makes it indie. Oliver brings that he's like, don't get involved in all that big picture shit.
Which I think we feel. I think it's one of the reasons like people are craving, we call it nostalgia, I think now, like shows, and we're calling it indie, but I think it's a feeling. I described it before as sort of like a coming home is how it feels like in your body, but it's like when you can smell the leaves in the scene, when you can like, it's stuff like that and Oliver, but I think when we say indie too, I think that there's just like this sort of awareness of what you have to work with. And he did this in like, we had the most beautiful setting. We had this crazy house in Woodstock, and he brought and this is Corbin too, and the way the chapters, the way you want to tell it is like, we had fall, we had these leaves, and it becomes such a part of the story. And like people, we don't notice these things as much anymore. We're not looking up as much anymore. We're looking down, and like, you're so to like have that be, I think people are feeling that when they watch Woodstockers, because it is something we crave. We don't even know that we're missing it. And then you see it and you're like, oh God, remember when you used to watch a movie and it was the crunching of the leaves and then like, I mean, yeah, you can think of a million of them, and especially in this like indie vibe. Anyway, I can talk about that part all day, because that is something I when I watch Woodstockers, I'm like, man, we captured whatever that is. He got it. Like whatever that feeling is, he captured it.
And the cool thing about that is I've been thinking about this a lot, because it's the road we're going to go.
We hate talking about this. Can't you tell, Thomas? Sorry.
What's that?
I was joking. I was like, we just want to talk about it because we love it so much.
But
But keep
really
going.
quickly, like I realize most people live an indie life. There's a very few people that have enough money to do what they want, when they want, fill it up. Most people are scraping by. They're scraping by on indie budgets for their life. And when you create something that's on an indie budget, it kind of feels like they feel. I think you don't have, I'm not walking on wings of airplanes going like, that doesn't exist. So I think that's part of it too. It's the necessity is the mother of invention really comes in big.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
why
our relationships. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Anyway,
really glad.
Thomas has asked 2 questions. We have not shut up, Corbin. We just love it so much.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Look,
Give me some true false.
I am more than happy to let y'all talk as much as you want, and just sitting back and listening to y'all is really bringing me a lot of joy here. But I want to, as you talked about setting this story in autumn, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I kind of want to expand on that. I know this is hopefully a larger or part of a much larger story, but was it always the plan to set this first chapter in autumn, or was that just kind of happenstance?
Yeah, I've had a very loose idea that this thing is told in 4 seasons: fall, winter, spring, and summer. The fall is this man's kind of falling ground down. And weirdly, when I talked about Maggie, I haven't even really talked about this much. It's kind of happening to her too in her life, which really wasn't the original intention, but it's just kind of playing really nicely that we sort of mirror each other's tumble to. My mother was an alcoholic, and I'll tell you, until she fell to the ground and said, I'm an alcoholic, Gene, I'm alcoholic, there's no going up for tomorrow. So fall is when the guy falls. Winter, I have this vision of shooting it in just stark white, freezing, cold, frozen. I remember again with my mother, that when she decided to do that, you no longer have alcohol. She actually quit smoking cigarettes at the same time. You don't have the support systems of your friends who are alcoholics. You're like frozen. You're going to have to crack the ice yourself, or you aren't going to get out. You'll freeze. And spring is when the first little tulips come from the ground, or a hint of, or in his case, he hears a bit of music that's like, okay, there's hope, spring. And then summer is going to be a little bit more of the joyous celebration of the, the outcomes of all the stories, and not necessarily perfect, by the way, no happy bow, but a place where everybody can move forward in their lives.
We're here on Meet Me in the Movies talking with Corbin Berson and Maggie Lawson about the pilot episode of Woodstockers. We're going to take a quick break and be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Tim Foster, your host for Blue and Bold monthly right here on C19 TV. Get to know the coaches and student athletes of Cleveland Community College Athletics on Blue and Bold. We go in depth as we discuss cross country, track and field, volleyball, baseball, men and women's basketball, and softball. Catch Bull and Bold airing on C19 TV and online at c19.tv.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Welcome back to Meet Me in the Movies. This is Thomas Manning, and we are chatting with Maggie Lawson and Corbin Berson about Woodstockers. Here's the rest of that conversation. And I know that with kind of the shadow of Woodstock hanging over the story, Corbin, I'm curious for you. I guess you would have been about a teenager around the time that Woodstock happened. What do you remember about that event, or do you have any memories of it during that time period?
I do. I somehow, and to this day, I don't know how we got around. I don't know how we communicated with each other. I can't remember, but I knew about Woodstock Now I was a couple of years younger. I would have been 15. Yeah, 15. When that happened, or just turning 15. But it was my music, it was my hair, it was my weed, it was everything. It was, I was there culturally there. So much so that when Woodstock happened, had such a thing. Like I wanted to go. I had a very good friend, and we heard in Death Valley there was going to be a West Coast version of Woodstock. Got in the car and drove to Death Valley looking for this. Never found it. It didn't exist. And it ended up in a place called Furnace Creek, which is like 180 degrees, and had our own Woodstock moment. But it
Oh,
it
but
kind of,
isn't that like where Coachella kind of is now? Isn't that?
no, the Death
Oh,
Valley,
oh,
like Death Valley is the lowest place on earth. It's 200
oh. Okay. Okay.
below,
Yeah.
but I was very influenced by it. And there's a sound, there's the folk sound, of course, but there's also this kind of trippy guitar that's kind of like, it's kind of this wavy, wangy 60s guitar. So I wasn't just into folky stuff, although I loved all that, but I was into the burgeoning psychedelic part that was coming out of it as well. It wasn't quite, the 60s didn't quite have the psychedelia, but it got going. And so that was my thing. And to this day, I just had to drive down to the city for a wardrobe fitting for something. And I was listening to stuff and going like, I can't even listen to current shit. I was like, put me on, and I put my Woodstocky playlist on. And
Oh.
And Maggie, do you recall the first time that you heard about Woodstock, or or what you've learned about it over time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like I knew all about it growing up. My mom music was such a part of my childhood. My mom had such great taste in music. And so my mom would play like Carole King, and like even years later, and I'd be like, oh, this reminds me of my childhood or when I was young. And my mom's like, this reminds me when I was young, because she would play this music for us there was always music playing. My brother went into music. It's a huge part of our lives. So Woodstock, I knew about it as much as I could. It's not that my mom or my parents went, but I knew all about it. And I know like those musicians in that time and that era. And I always said my mom would have been on like, she would have been like one of the ones like burning her bra, and like literally she was, if she hadn't so young, like settled down and had kids, like she still has that fire in her. I mean, Corbin, you met her, but she was like, she was so of that era, like, and she still has so much of that too, that I feel really lucky to have grown up around that kind of music and that kind of appreciation for a time. Sort of I don't know, maybe, I don't know if innocence is the right word, but
it is, yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean?
We were peaceful. We were groovy. There was something, there was love.
Well, music is uniting. I
You're
think
right,
it's
right.
very uniting. I think it's a universal language that, it brings people together and can be healing and can be so many things. I think that was so, I think, evident of the time, then
And so much
especially.
music there is about love and peace and
Yeah.
harmony, love and where now it's, I'm not going to go into lyrics, but it's like dark stuff,
Yeah.
it was light. I know for some reason, I call kids, 30, 20, my son, they all love that thing. They know nothing about it, but there's something there's an innocence in the music and the whatever that, and what I'm finding is we have an incredible following. We have fans of the thing wherever we go with the festivals I didn't know were going to be the audience.
My dog really wanted to say hi. He just ran over here. So
That's
anyway,
cool.
he's joining.
We're happy to have him. What's his name?
Linus.
Linus.
I
Love
think
it.
he just had a dream and something scared him in the dream, because he just leapt off the couch and ran to my lap. Like, what was that? I don't know what it was. Nothing's there. Nothing
He
is
heard
there.
my voice.
Nothing
Oh
is there.
man.
Now he's looking at the couch like, yeah, he's seeing things. He does see
Yeah.
things.
Hey, it could have seen Stephen Tobolowsky's character Calvin in his dream, perhaps.
Oh.
So,
Was
which
Lenny here?
Yeah.
which is which is a great segue here, because Corbin, it's between the relationship between your character and Stephen's character. It feels so fully realized and authentic, And I'd love to hear more about what went into establishing that friendship in really such a convincing way. And some of those early conversations you had with Steven that kind of paved the way.
Well, Stephen and I also go way back to one of a series that should have been on the air for 8 years. We did many, many years ago. But I worked with somebody the other day. I did the show Lincoln Lawyer, and I looked at Manuel, who's the lead in it. And sometimes you look in people's eyes and you just connect. I don't know. I can't describe it, but you're not acting. You're just, when I'm looking at Maggie and she's saying, you're the one who's not changed, you're the one who's stuck. I mean, I remember looking at you were doing that and going, that's Alice and Lenny. I'm not thinking it's us acting or that's just, and Steven is one of those guys that you just connect with. It's something, it's just interesting. Hey, I'm not inventing anything here. It's chemistry. It's what they always talk about, chemistry, which is so important. But he also he has this wonderful sense of humor that's not yuck. Very not even dry. It's just observant, and he's just a funny guy. And I knew it was important because I knew Lenny would be a bit of a depressing character, at least at the beginning of his journey. I want to learn more about who he was, because we sort of set it up, and I didn't really know this going in until I started thinking about it. And he's got no idea what he's doing. He's just a guy who's always had a quote and a thing, and he's given a shelter to people. But Steven is with all the people in this can really do both parts of it. They can do the comedy and do the drama. I mean, originally this was a drama. We won best. Originally it was a comedy, and I'm finding it to be much more of a drama that has some very human, funny elements to it. And Steven's the king of that.
Yeah.
Stephen King.
Uh-huh.
And another member of the cast I want to highlight is, of course, Barbara Hershey, and he plays the character of Rebecca. That's Corbin, your character's ex-wife, and Maggie, your character's mother. And I think Barbara is truly one of the greats. So I just love to have the two of you speak a bit to who she is as an actor and how it was to collaborate with her on this project.
She sort of serves this story in my problem, but doesn't have a fully realized really a realized part of who she is and what she is. Barbara's going to be great at this. A woman who has 20 years, she's taken this stuff, and I have a scene that mirrors the scene with Maggie where she basically says to Lenny, I can't do this anymore. I mean, I haven't been able to do it for 20 years. I've stayed in there, and I want to live. And he says, I want to live too. She says, no, you want to live in the past. I want to live in now. I want to live in the future. And I don't believe you're ever going to, with all the love in her heart, I don't believe you're ever going to become that. Therefore, I can't be in this relationship. And I think that's going to be heartbreaking for him to know that she's out there after 40 years. I mean, if my wife said, I can't do this anymore, find me the closest bridge.
Thomas, you're getting all the scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm talking it out. I don't really care because it's all going to be out.
Some spoilers. You're getting some scoop.
Listen,
Yeah,
I was kind of planning to ask about, how you plan to expand upon this, but I didn't even have to ask that because you've just given me all the details here. But
I'm just talking it out because right when we're done, I'm going back to this computer and going back in, and I'll tell you, I'm all day like I make notes, send me a text. I'll tell you something funny. The other day, I was doing it because my make note thing doesn't really work and it doesn't transcribe right. So I said, send text, Corbin Berson. And who do you want to send it? Corbin Berson. Lenny walks in and finds Alice sitting in the room. Okay. Send it? Yeah, send it. And so I get home and there's I was on a walk and there must have been 30 notes I had. And it's like nothing on my phone. And Amanda, my wife, says to me, why are you sending me all these notes about Woodstockers? Somehow my name is connected to her phone.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I was so worried. I was relieved, but I was worried, like all these ideas I had. Yeah. They come, they're just, it's flying out now that I kind of know where I'm going. And And I have the benefit of writing. The first one I wrote, I didn't know how she would talk. I didn't know how Stephen would talk. I didn't know how Susan or Dan would talk. I didn't know their rhythms and their things. Now I get to write to that a little bit, which is really fun. Yeah, I know when I write her things, Maggie's things, I can hear Maggie say, if I bring it in, she'll go, that's not right. And we'll clean that bit up. But, I can hear the voices as I do it. A guy on the airplane yesterday said, I see that you were writing the whole time, but you were also talking to yourself.
Oh, that's so good.
I must be like,
so good.
Corbin, would you get out? I mean, because in my head, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like out loud talking.
That's so good. That is very funny,
very
which is so funny. That's what you do in the show, except you're talking to Calvin. Yeah.
Well, I know we've got to work on wrapping it up here soon so that you can get back to creating more Woodstockers for us. But let me just say that I hope it, takes the form that you hope it does in the coming years. And hopefully we both share many more conversations about it in the future as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is the hope. That is the hope. And I believe it. I had a dream. We were talking about dreams and stuff. I had a dream about it. So, and my dreams lately have been very telling of things. So I've started to pay more attention. But if it's true, you'll see more of Woodstockers in a big way.
You'll see it. I just have to. And again, and Maggie, I can say it to you here. I just so appreciate when people, even that little story, even doing this, I realize, keep going, man, keep going.
Every time I see my brother, who is honestly, I go to him for everything because he's so honest and he's so smart, and you met him. And every time I see him, he's like, that shit is good. I'm like,
by the way, family worked into it. Lenny's drink is a Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah.
That's what Gordon, your husband, is going to bring me as a peace offering.
I love that. I'm from Kentucky, Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
We were all just in Lexington together, so he got to meet like a lot of my family, and we all shared some bourbon stories, and I love it. I love it so much. Great.
Now in the thing.
I'm from the South as well. I'm here in North Carolina, so not too far from Kentucky. Yeah.
They like their bourbon. We like our bourbon.
Yep. We love our barbecue here. That's a big thing if you ever come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where in North Carolina are you?
I'm in the southwestern part of the state, Cleveland County. I'm kind of situated between Charlotte and Asheville. So
okay, I know Asheville. My dad lived in Asheville. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful place. So.
Insanely, stunningly beautiful.
Absolutely. It's
mind-blowingly beautiful. Yeah, that whole area, those mountains. Oh, it's just beautiful. Anyway. Yeah.
But Corbin, Maggie, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I really do appreciate your time, and congratulations, and hopefully we connect again in the future.
For sure.
Well, thanks so much for spending another week with us here on Meet Me in the Movies, and thank you to Maggie Lawson and Corbin Berson for offering their insights into the making of Woodstockers and where they hope to take the series from here. Until next time on Meet Me in the Movies for C19, I'm Thomas Manning. That's a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.